We welcome in our man, KD, Kyle Draper. KD, you a Kanye guy?
I used to be, man. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, but I hopped off on back in 2016, pretty much, man.
Mm.
I said, you know what? I'm done with Kanye. I'm not wearing no Yeezys. I'm not. I ain't even listening to Late Registration or College Dropout or anything like that, man. I mean, the dude makes great music. I just don't vibe with him like that anymore.
A lot of people jumped off the bandwagon that year. can't put my finger on it, but I felt like the Kanye train lightened up a little bit that year.
Yeah, man, and it's sad too because the dude is a musical genius, but I just can't do it. I can't bring myself to it, and sometimes like Donda came out, and I was like, "Ooh, should I check it out?"
Not too.
I reached for it, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing it." And his music, from everything I hear, and have heard clips and songs, it just doesn't connect with me like the old school, the old Kanye stuff did. Even Dark Twisted Fantasy, I thought was good. That was to me his last great album.
Life of Pablo. I keep telling people, I love me some Life of Pablo.
I have to check it out.
It's tough, KD. But the music still hits. It doesn't hit it might hit a little later. It might hit after a few listens, but it hits. And you can always do what I do. I put that Kanye Essentials on. I go, not R. Kelly. I can listen to Kanye.
That's true.
He ain't on the band list. Like, hey, you can have your feelings, but I could separate these two.
Drake,
I might give him another try.
Well, check out the doc. You'll love the doc that's on
good.
Netflix. Like that's all the way official.
Kyle, how different is watching the games for you and the crew right now since the Sabonis trade?
I mean, it's amazing. I was talking to Katie the other day, or it might have been Kenny Thomas. This looks like an NBA basketball team, right? I mean, this looks like, sure, the record doesn't indicate that they're a much improved team since the trade, but I was out there in Denver watching the guys warm up, and I looked at the roster, and I'm like, you got NBA players from 1 to 13. Yeah. I mean, think about it. You guys mentioned Jemiah and Robert Woodard. No offense to those guys, but they weren't NBA players. And we had a lot of dead weight at the end of that roster. Now you can go 10, 11, 12 deep if you're Alvin Gentry.
Yeah, absolutely. And KD, we talked about this a lot when it was looking bleak out there, the level of toughness, the level of competitive fire that the team lacked before. It seems like, they don't have that anymore. They go out there, they compete. Will they always win? No, but they're there to compete every single night. They don't really get pushed around with a guy like Sabonis. He's out there doing the pushing. And it's just a different brand of basketball that is a lot more appeasing than what we saw for the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I'll take you back to that Denver game, the second one. We can talk about Sabonis in the first one, taking it right at Jokic and just, schooling him. But in the second Denver game, down the stretch, I was calling that game doing play-by-play, and it was late, and Justin Holiday turns to everybody and says, come on, guys, one stop. And I don't remember the last time I seen a Kings team talk like that. You know what I mean? Like, just that energy, that fire, that let's get it, and that's Justin Holiday, kind of a quiet guy, but he was, trying to be a leader out there. And you're right, man. I just think, teams can go on an 8-0 run, 10-0 run, but the Kings now know how to punch back. They got guys that are going to punch back. Whereas, before the trade, it was like, man, you get hit and you keep taking hits, and next thing you know, you're down by 20.
One stop. That's you never heard that before, because it used to be, all right, guys, just 10 stops. We're right back in this thing.
Just 10 stops.
The great Mark Jones, Kyle Draper call. All right, we'll be right back, folks. The lead is down to 22. 22. It was such a relief to hear Mark the other day saying, going to commercial break, the lead's down to 17. Kings are up. We'll be back. It's like, wow, this is... Oh, what kind of bizarro world is this? And of course,
think about this, guys, too, real quick. Think about this. When you add a guy like Sabonis, because you didn't have a player like that on your team, you sort of got to revamp the offense, right? You got to, come up with something different because you're playing through him. And before, we didn't have any bigs to play through. It'll be interesting when Rashawn Holmes comes back, because it's like when Sabonis is on the floor, you play one way. If you put Rashawn in there, you got to play an entirely different way. Same thing with Damian Jones. And so it'll be interesting to see, how Rashawn, sort of melds back into the system. But I heard y'all talking about the trade and Tyrese. And as much as we love Tyrese Halliburton, he's all our guy. We know that. Dude, Sabonis is a real deal, and he's only 25. Come on, man. Come on now. We got a two-time All-Star who's about to enter his prime. Not in his prime. He's entering his prime right now.
Right. And he's playing well. Like, it's not even like he's underperforming. The guy's 19 and 13 and 6 a night. Crazy.
Exactly. And the thing is, what's he had a double-double in 6 of his 7 or whatever it is, 7 of 8 or whatever. I mean, this dude is a walking double-double. We just haven't had that since DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, I think we're so conditioned to believe that everything this franchise does is wrong that when they do something right, like the collective masses don't know how to act. They just like I feel like the NBA world collectively lost their minds. Like the Kings did something right. No, we can't talk about that. Let's talk about how they screwed this up. Like, wait, what?
Yo, and you're right, man. They made Tyrese sound like the second coming of Magic Johnson once he made that trade. It was like, how can you get rid of Tyrese? And I hate to get rid of him. And I heard some of the numbers you were spouting out. He was putting up some numbers, but the team wasn't winning. And to go out there and get that two-time All-Star, and I think you sort of immediately change just the whole vibe and tenor around this team, and that's something that needed to be done.
Yeah. And that was really the kind of the crux of what we were talking about. Is so much talk about Tyrese. Do you realize who the Kings got in return? Like, it wasn't cash considerations. Like, the dude is playing. Like, it's weird, man. And as great as Sabonis has been playing, man, De'Aaron Fox has been otherworldly since this deal has been made. Can you pinpoint something when you're watching him, either from courtside or the studio, where you're like, he's doing he just did this differently. He's doing this differently. He's doing something that he hasn't done in the first 50 games or whatever it may be.
Well, I think one thing when you play with Tyrese and you're another guard, there's a lot of standing around. You know what I mean? But when you play with a guy like Sabonis who facilitates from the high post, there's a lot of moving and cutting. And as we know, the best De'Aaron Fox is a De'Aaron Fox on the move, right? I don't want Fox in the corner just waiting for the ball. You get Fox on the move, he's virtually unstoppable. That's what we're saying. He's doing much better in transition. But he's not being stagnant anymore. I thought when he was playing with Tyrese, a lot of times he would just, whether waiting on the corner or the wing, Tyrese would dance, do his thing, and then Fox would catch it, 10 on the shot clock, and got to make something happen. Now with Sabonis, there's a lot more movement with this Kings team. And I think, you're seeing, y'all talked about guys, their numbers being better, improving, now. And I think it's because the offense is so much better. There's a lot more movement, man. It's not as much ISO ball, and I think that's what you're seeing from De'Aaron Fox. He's going downhill a whole lot more, I think, over these last 7-8 games. And, man, if we get this De'Aaron Fox at 24 and Sabonis at 25, you got a pretty good 1-2 punch in this league.
I agree 100%. Big game tonight in New Orleans, Kyle. Big game, next 2 games, to be honest with you, New Orleans and San Antonio. We asked this about a week ago. Do you think the Kings have a real shot of getting in this 10th spot? They're 3 games back right now. Obviously, they got to win this one tonight against New Orleans to really help their chances. But even if they do, it's still a bit of a long shot. You think they got it in them to make a run and get to this 10th spot here to close the season?
Yeah, I think they have it in them. But the problem is, sure, they're 3 back, but look at the loss column. So Alvin Gentry had always said, well, we control our own destiny. And that's not really true. You're 4 back in the loss column, if I'm correct, to the Pelicans. That's a lot, man. That's a lot of games. And that's why tonight is so important, right? You win this, then you're 3 back in the loss column. Then we can start talking about you lose tonight, 5 back in the loss column with 18 to go or whatever it is. Wow. That's going to be a mountain to climb. And they have a tough schedule. They got Milwaukee coming up, Chicago coming up. And so they got a tough schedule, but I think they have it in them because let's keep it real. Even though they haven't been winning games since the trade, they've been playing much improved basketball. They aren't losing games, you know. The other teams are actually beating them. Chicago and DeMar DeRozan went out there and beat them. It's not like the Kings, you know, had 3 turnovers in the final minute, which we've seen happen before, and they just turtle. Other teams are coming out there and beating them. But it's going to be an uphill climb, man. That's why tonight and tomorrow night, you talk about must wins. You lose tonight, then you're 5 back, I think it is, in the loss column. That's going to be tough to overcome.
Yeah.
You got the drip walk post going today, KD? I don't think we didn't notice.
Yeah, man.
Don't think we didn't notice them IG pictures is going up. Don't think we didn't notice you set your shoe game up a little bit recently.
I see you, KD.
Hey, man, I know where the cameras are now. And I know
My man.
I'm learning. But I'm on my road. I'm on the road to San Francisco, man. I'm doing pre and post. So I'm going to just have some baby drip on, not
there you
the
go.
real heat tonight.
There you go. All right.
Save that for the home games. We see you, KD.
Right.
Yeah. Drive safe, Kyle. Put on that essentials the rest of the way, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, fellas. Talk to y'all soon.
Take care.